The lesson it taught me then was you just need to surround yourself with people who actually believe that you can do. And I didn't have that in Detroit. A lot of people expecting me to fail because that's what they all were. They were all failures. We all failed together. That's what we did regularly. I kind of wish I would have known that I was capable of much more. What I found myself not doing was pushing myself so hard, because why work so hard if you're not going to succeed anyway? It was kind of my mindset. And it took me weeks before I realized, holy smokes, I can actually succeed here. I could be better than everybody else. And that really was I wish I've gotten that drilled through my head sooner.
What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Van Orn back with another edition of the Milpreneur podcast. Today, we are brought to you by our sponsor, Synergist. Synergist is your go-to scalable operations company that helps you grow exponentially faster at a fraction of the cost. Go check out Synergist.com. While you're perusing your internets, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to our Milpreneur channel on the YouTube and the Spotify. Today, I'm super excited. I have Tim Street on with me today. How are you doing, my friend?
Ryan, what's going on? Hey guys, thanks for having me on. It's such an awesome show. I'm thrilled to be here.
Man, we're super excited to have you on. You got all kinds of stuff happening, man. I can't wait to jump into it. But dude, we got to take it back old school a little bit. Know where you came from. Tell us a little bit about that hoorah day. All right. Tell us a little bit about your Marine Corps service, my friend.
Well, so I actually went in right out of high school. Obviously, I was not breaking any academic records. So definitely the Marine Corps was a spot for me. I got in it, and, I had failed. I grew up in Detroit, had a great family, but just, it wasn't an environment built for success by any means. Your path there was to grow up and work in the auto factories. And I knew I wanted to get the heck out of there. So I joined the Marine Corps and never looked back. Best thing I ever could have done, because I had failed at everything in life. Man, I sucked, man. I was picked last in sports. It makes no sense. Like, I'm this giant, man. Like, I'm not as tall as you are, but I am a big guy, and I'm pretty darn strong. And I just sucked at everything because, back then it was all about drinking, smoking, and chasing girls and stuff. We didn't really care about. Yeah. So getting in the Marine Corps is just turned me into an animal in like the best way possible. Like it turned me into something that I just knew I could not fail ever again. I wouldn't fail, and it set me up for such a great path, because I found so much of my life now, like getting into entrepreneurship was all about just betting on yourself, throwing the dice. And one of the things that I learned as a Marine is, I lost guys in the war and they're never coming back, but it taught me, like, listen, you don't have but a few number of days on this earth. Yeah. And so what you've got, stop worrying about, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able, the last hell on earth for me, Ryan, would have been retiring at 65 with a camper. Like, bro, come on. I gotta do bigger things than that. My guys are going to see me in heaven again one day. And if I hope I go there, and I don't want them looking at me saying, really, that's all you did, dude? A camper? Come on, brother. So. Exactly.
Well, you're going to Valhalla here, when your time is up, my friend. But dude, the Marines taught you a bunch of stuff, and it taught you how to build that structure and that drive, to channel that drive. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on now and how you've incorporated that structure into it now.
Yeah. So, after the Marines, I actually did a 5-year stint as a federal air marshal, and I got into the startup world. And so, listen, imagine this, some giant moron out of Detroit who has really hyper brilliant friends bring me in there because I'm good at talking to people. I've always been great at sales. And so they had these incredible brains, but they were lousy at telling people how things worked. While I was, on the other hand, I could listen to my friends because they were my friends. They could tell me how it worked, and I was really good at conveying this to people. So I was a natural negotiator. I was a natural sales guy, and I could just really identify. I could empathize with a lot of people. And I found so much of what I do in life is putting myself in somebody else's shoes, right? And figuring out, what does this look like from the outside looking in? And that was really where my superpower was getting to be friends with people on a relatively rapid basis, and letting them know that I truly did have their interests at heart. And then we could just build beautiful things together. So from that startup space, we're in there, and we're negotiating against companies that we had no business being in the room with. Like, we're talking like Amazon and Apple, and sometimes we would win. Like, sometimes I'd walk out with a signed contract. Like, how the hell did we just do that? Right? It was amazing. And so after enough of the excitement of those years, I got tired of living out of suitcase. I decided to get into real estate investing and working with real estate agents. It was tough because some agents, there's a bottom 10% to every organization, whether it's the Air Force, whether it's the Marine Corps, whether it's real estate, there's always a bottom 10%. And I think I got kind of just a bad luck draw because the first few deals, I would go and I'd research all these deals and I'd find agents to work with, and they were terrible. They couldn't negotiate their way out of a paper bag. So I ended up, I got my own license. I said, screw it. So I cut out the middleman, got my own license. And man, that was such a life hack. Once I got my own license, I was able to get into my own deals, and I was able to build a small portfolio of short-term rentals here in Meriden, Florida. And I loved it. I still have them to this day. But one of the things that I did alongside that is I started helping other people sell their homes and buy homes. And that's kind of where it took me to where I am today, where now I'm this licensed agent. I really have the inside scoop, and I'm bringing a lot of cachet from my past in the startup world into a world where I'm competing with folks who maybe don't have that experience with me. So Liz and I, my wife, we were able to do very, very well as a team. And it was amazing. And, it got to a certain point where that kind of lost its luster. I'm one of these guys that chases shiny objects, and that's, bad and good. And so it got to a certain point where I decided, no, I'm just done trying to win against other agents who maybe aren't going to hold the same ethics that I do, or the whole, maybe the same level of honesty. And I decided I'm just washing my hands of all that. I'm going to give my tools away for free so that everyday homeowners can do this on their own. And sometimes they might not need a real estate agent. And sometimes they do. This is definitely not for everybody.
Right.
But for those who can do this on their own, yeah, I think it's a great option.
Well, with FoolProof FSBO is what you got building right now. Like, have you seen, what are some challenges that you saw along the way? Like, everything isn't sunshine and rainbows all the time, right? Like, did you have some setbacks? Like, what does that look like?
Well, first of all, some of my best friends are real estate agents, but like a lot of the ones that I wasn't really good friends with, they like hate my guts. Like, they're like, you're taking money out of our pot. I'm like, are you nuts? And like, this is like something that people have to reframe. Like, there's this scarcity mindset that's throughout the real estate industry. And they seem and so in a 5-minute conversation, I'm able to completely disarm them. But the reality is there's nothing you should want more as a real estate agent is a guy like me out there catching all of these for sale by owners, giving them a soft landing, and then sending them off to you. Because where do you think these for sale by owners go when they're not successful? Because not all of them are. In fact, 90% of for sale by owners fail. And the ones that do quote unquote succeed, the sad part is they sell for 11% less than their agent represented counterparts. So going in this alone, it's a bad deal. It would be like, Ryan, you and I getting on an airplane and we're going to some corporate retreat. And all of a sudden we hear the pilot say, well, I've never done this before, but I watched a few YouTube videos. I think I got it. Man, you and I would get the hell off that airplane. There's no way that guy would be flying me in. That's what people who try to sell by owner do. They watch YouTube. They listen to their cousin Joe, who was a broker back in the 70s, and they're like, oh yeah, I got this. Man, you don't have this. And so that's where I try to give these people a soft landing. And I say, listen, you can do this by yourself, but you have to follow this blueprint. You have to do like I did. Whereas I was a successful agent and I was getting people above asking price by doing these things. And if you don't do those things, you don't want to do those things, you don't have the time, let me introduce you to this real estate agent here who's a top producer in the area. They're going to take great care of you. And so that's really what I do. I try to create a complete ecosystem so that either way, whether they go by owner or not, they're going to get the best outcome for their personal results.
I love that, man. So what are you most proud about the journey that you're on with this?
Dude, I'm not making any money in it. And I know that sounds crazy now, but here's the thing, I've had such a ridiculously charmed life. I've had success where a guy like me just didn't deserve. I have an amazing family, like wife, kids, like you name it. I've been blessed with it. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm clearly not missing any freaking meals. I can go ahead and give back at this point. And this is what I do. I literally just give everything away. I have a system that I can, and there are some people who are like, listen, I appreciate you giving everything away. I still need a system that's going to take from A to Z. I need hand holding. I need weekly coaching, things like that. And I offer those things. I offer a blueprint for sale. But when I tell people, I was like, listen, if you can watch YouTube, if you can follow my instructions, you read my emails, and if you have, some time, you can kind of put together, I don't hold anything back. Like I give everything away, but there are people out there who want a course, they want a video module system, and I provide that as well. But, at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I want to, not because I need to. This is not paying for my house payments. This is not paying for the boat payments. Those are covered. Thank God for my real estate investments. This right for me is just pure giving back and joy. And this is where I'm happy.
I love that, man. Hey, if you're looking at like the climate of like entrepreneurship, like what's one thing that you think business owners should do today, like that they can prepare for like tomorrow? Like there's
Man,
so many things
yeah.
that are happening right now. And
Mhm.
like you have fail safes that you built into your business and your whole world. So I'm sure you can speak to that a little bit.
What I stopped doing is I stopped worrying about failing. And I know that kind of might sound crazy to the uninitiated because what your question is, how do you eliminate risk? My answer to that is stop being freaking afraid of risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go out and put everything on black in Vegas tomorrow. Don't sell your house and take all that cash. I'm not saying you to blindly gamble, but I'm saying bet on yourself, risk, and it lose. I've learned so much from losing, and I don't think there's anybody who's lost more than I have in life. I mean, I lose constantly. I still lose to this day. I have 5 women in this house. All right. It's my wife and I and 4 daughters. How often do you think I win anything? Even the dog is a girl, Ryan. I lose all the time. So, dude, take it from an expert. But I learned so much through those losses with personal life and business wise. You learn so much. Victory is a terrible teacher, I think, is the old saying. And it's true. When I think of the times I've been successful in my life, you know what I learned from that? Hey, I'm awesome. That's a BS story you're telling yourself. You're not awesome. You were a person where luck met opportunity, preparedness met opportunity. That's your luck, and that's where you were. So all those times I was successful, it's because I prepared, but I had also had the right opportunity at the right time. Have any of those two things been missing? I don't care how awesome I might think I am, it wouldn't have happened. But when I lose, oh my gosh, I learned so much, and we have to get rid of this idea where failure is a bad thing, where losing is a bad thing. Yes, it's not optimal. If I could choose, I would like to win, but let's start taking these lessons that we're able to, roll the dice and roll on ourselves and see if we come up short, because you're always going to have a path forward from there.
I love that, man. Hey, let's switch gears a little bit here because one of the things that we do on the Milpreneur podcast is we get to know like our founders and CEOs on like a little bit more of a personal level. You up for a little rapid fire questioning?
Yeah, brother, let's hit it.
Awesome, man. All right, we'll just start off real easy. Like, are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm up at 4 a.m. every day. And
Hoorah, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, but I'm usually in bed by 9. I'm not much fun at parties anymore. The old Tim Street, boy, you'd have got along with him great.
I love it, man. I'm up at 4 a.m. myself, so I love it,
I
dude.
love it. Yeah.
What's your favorite book that you're reading right now?
I'm reading a book right now called Imagine Heaven. And it's really cool. I love stories where somebody has a given mindset and they go out to write a story about that given mindset. And then they end up pivoting based on the reality. I love when people are willing to arrive at whatever conclusion that the evidence takes them to. Well, this guy, it was a really cool story. He started out as an engineering professor and, he's an atheist. He didn't believe in God, all this stuff. And he got so fed up with all these feel-good hippie weirdos talking about these near-death experiences, and he was just going to put this thing to death once and for all. Fast forward, after he had interviewed a ton of near-death experience people, he not only started believing, he converted. He's now a Christian pastor, and
Wow.
because the evidence was so crazy overwhelming. And I love stories like that. There's been a few stories written like that, and it's not necessarily around religion, but there's people who set out with a very ardent mindset about one way of thinking, and they decide to dig into it just to prove their point, and they end up getting disproven to the point where they start advocating for the other side. It's a great book, very interesting.
I love it, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. If you could have like a superpower, like the Avengers or like X-Men or something like that, what's one superpower you'd want?
Golly, I hate to make jokes like it was what was that movie What Women Want or something like that where Mel Gibson
Yeah.
could read the mind of women. No, I don't want. I live with. I would hate to hear what they actually think about me. You know what? I would like to not need sleep. That if I could
Nice.
just be, yeah, I would love to just experience life 24 hours a day. But there's unfortunately, I've tried. When I get without sleep, I get even more forgetful than normal, which is not a good thing. So.
Facts on that one. What was the first job you ever had?
So I had a paper route when I was a little kid. And then when I turned 14, I was a cart boy at our grocery store in Detroit called Myers. And I was pushing shopping baskets through, 8 inches of snow in the middle of a Detroit February. It was the second worst job I ever had next to being a dishwasher at a rib restaurant. That was pretty bad.
Do you have a bucket list travel spot you still want to travel to?
I Not necessarily a spot. What I do look forward to doing one day when the kids are all done, I'd like to pick up a trawler, maybe like a 80-foot Hatteras, and just kind of cruise around. We're so close to the Bahamas here.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to do that. And then there's something called the Great Loop where you could actually go up the east coast of the United States and then you travel down through Chicago through the Mississippi River. And you basically could do a loop and connect the dots all the way back in Key West and just see the United States. I'd love to do that one day.
That is super cool. If you could have dinner with a historical figure, either living or deceased, who would you want that to be?
Elon Musk all day. I'd love to sit with Elon Musk. Go to Five Guys Burgers. That'd be super cool.
Awesome, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more. Do you have your favorite go-to cheat meal?
Man, I am a pizza guy. Give me pizza. And I mean, even bad pizza. You could put ketchup on a saltine cracker with a slice of American cheese, throw it in a microwave. Did I ever tell you about the worst pizza I ever had? It wasn't bad. Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad. That's how I am. Yeah. Cheap meal pizza all day.
I love it, man. Last one is what's bumping in your workout playlist right now?
So depends. When I work out the gym, it depends which coach is running the gym that day. Today we had some kind of weird hip hop techno mix going on. But when I work, I have to stay plugged in because again, shiny object. I'll chase squirrels in the backyard if you let me, man. I'm ridiculous ADD. So I put these bows, like you remember something about Mary Warren
Yes.
who would wear those earmuffs?
Yes.
Have you seen my baseball? That guy?
Yes.
I seriously, my wife laughs her ass off at me. She's like, you are seriously Warren. I'm in here with my Bose noise canceling headset and I'm listening to this stuff called minimal techno. Minimal techno is like this weird subdued, just in no words, just beats. And it's like, it allows me to block everything out and just go full steam ahead.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Dude, you absolutely destroyed the rapid fire section, man. Well done today. Appreciate your candor on that.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here, man, if you could go back in time like a time traveler and go talk to Tim, who was going into the Marine Corps, what's one piece of advice you give your younger self?
Man, I wish I told you that I was just a giant loser before the Marine Corps. I lost at everything. The only thing I won at was partying, and that's nothing to brag about. I wish I could have gone in and kind of given myself that's the dangerous part about time travel, right? You don't want to create a paradox. Maybe nothing. Maybe the answer is nothing, because what happened in the Marine Corps is I ended up, not only did I succeed, I graduated guide. I carried the flag across the parade deck. I was the number one guy. Like I crushed everybody, when it came to fighting, when it came to running, like everything, shooting. I was incredible. And the lesson it taught me then was you just need to surround yourself with people who actually believe that you can do what you say you're going to do. Like so much. And I didn't have that in Detroit. In Detroit, I had a lot of people expecting me to fail because that's what they all were. They were all failures. We all failed together. That's what we did regularly. And so I kind of wish I would have known that I was capable of much more, because what I found myself not doing was pushing myself so hard because I knew I wasn't. Why work so hard if you're not going to succeed anyway? Was kind of my mindset. And it took me weeks into boot. I was in boot camp for 16 weeks and it took weeks before I realized, holy smokes, I can actually succeed here. Yeah. Not only can I succeed, I could be better than everybody else. And that really was I wish I've gotten that drilled through my head sooner. And I wish, like just in the Marines in general, I wish I would have taken that with me, because, I just kind of got through the Marines. I didn't really apply myself. And man, I think about all the opportunities I could have had if I had applied myself and really pushed hard. But at the end of the day, I'm very happy with my life where it is now. And I don't want to tempt fate with any paradoxes there.
I love it, man. Very cool. Yeah. Well, where do you see yourself going in like 5 years from now with everything that you got going on?
So 5 years, I'll have two of my girls in college, one of them on the way. So, I'm first and foremost just family focused right now. That really is my biggest thing. That's the first and last decision I make every day is, how's this going to affect my relationship with God, and how's this going to affect my relationship with my family? So I'm thinking a lot smaller than I was maybe 10 years ago. In 5 years, I would love to, I would love to have a stack this big of people saying, hey, Tim, thanks for saving me thousands when I sold my home. Hey, because of you, we were able to retire on time, or because of you, we were able to send our kid to college instead of him having to join the Marines. Things I would love to just start a ripple of good effects and hopefully see the fruits of that in 5 years.
And you're doing some great work. I always appreciate such the passionate guests coming on. Tim Street, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Milpreneur podcast today. If people are interested in your services, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, the first thing I would do is send them to my website. It's FoolProof FSBO. That's FSBO. It means for sale by owner. So if folks go to foolprooffsbo.com/quiz. I've put together a 7-question quiz, and it's really a temperament quiz because the reality, and you know this more than anybody, you've got more real estate experience in your pinky than I got my whole body probably. For sale by owner could be the stupidest thing you could ever want to do for the wrong circumstances. If you're in the right circumstances, it could be a good thing. So what we do is we give you a quiz that just cuts out the BS and says, listen, this is going to be a bad move. Here's what we recommend you do, because we can help everybody. I'm going to be able to help everybody who comes to my door. It's just the path that we get you to help might be different from person A to person B. So find out who you are, take that quiz. If you want to learn more, there's an ebook that I'm making available to your audience. If they just go to that same website, foolprooffsbo.com/ebook, it's our 7-day launch guide, and it teaches you how we can get you market ready in as little as 7 days and start getting you offers.
Phenomenal, man. Tim, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on as a guest today on the Milpreneur podcast. Thank you so much for your time.
Ryan, it's been my honor. I've been following you for a while. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to continuing the conversation, and I can't wait to learn more about Synergist, man. That's going to be super cool. So thanks for everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to the Milpreneur podcast. Once again, I'm Ryan Van Orn. Until the next time, everyone, please stay blessed and enjoy. Take care, and see you on the next side. Take care.